want to correct something here from yesterday's show. When Kendrick Perkins said 80% of NBA voters for the MVP award are white. The NBA publicly announces the voters each year, and after review, it is clear the panel is much more diverse than what was portrayed by Kendrick Perkins, and we wanted to make sure that we corrected that today.
So we can get down in the details and the weeds of the details of, like, okay, what Kendrick was really trying to say is that the majority of voters are white, and that the majority of voters have some sort of racial bias that leads them to favor Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, and Jokic. That's what he was saying. He may be, maybe it's not 80%, maybe it's only 60%, or maybe it's 55%. But, you know, he's still stating the facts. And yesterday, I tried to break down that, hey, man, just because something is a fact doesn't mean it proves your assertion. Doesn't mean that it's a healthy, appropriate, accurate way to argue. Just because something is a fact. And I pointed out yesterday that what Kendrick Perkins is legalizing is a form of communication that will eventually lead to some white person on a platform saying that, hey, Ja Morant, and these gun problems he's having and the criminal problems he seems to be having and the lifestyle he seems to be embracing, some white person will say, you know what, it's just a fact that black men are 7% of the U.S. population, but they're responsible for more than 50% of the murders. And they're going to scream, I'm just quoting the facts. And what I'm suggesting is that this is all intentional. And Kendrick, I'm going to apologize up front for speaking this directly. Kendrick, I like you. I think you're way out over your skis. Kendrick Perkins is 6'10" and was blessed with that height and some physical gifts that made him a McDonald's All-American and someone that could go basically straight from high school to the NBA, or maybe he was a one and done, I can't remember, but I don't think he spent much time in college. In high school, given his height and his athletic ability, I don't think he was valedictorian of his high school. Based on the way he communicates and talks, I think that's a pretty good assumption that he was not the most vigorous, rigorous student. Kendrick, and I'm going to quit apologizing after this. I respect you, but you're not a Rhodes Scholar. You're not any type of scholar. You're way out over your skis talking about these cultural and societal issues. And I used to be one. You're just a dumb jock. And there are a lot of dumb jocks on TV and on elevated platforms and being promoted to talk about societal issues. You are not alone. And so I get why you've fallen into this trap. The puppet masters have placed you in this position, on this elevated platform, to stir racial division and to keep the conversation stupid and to keep everybody on a narrative that's far removed from reality. This is intentional. This is the time we live in, an era of mass chaos and stupidity and division. This is not by mistake that Kendrick Perkins is on ESPN and on First Take and on these other platforms. And he's not alone. Now, First Take did a little distancing of themselves from that. But Stephen A. Smith, he's out over his skis too. Shannon Sharpe, out over his skis. Skip Bayless, out over his skis. All of these guys, out over their skis. Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes, virtually all of them, everybody over at ESPN, and basically everybody at Fox Sports, all out over their skis. Molly Karam, Mina Kimes, you name it, all of them. way out over their skis. And Mina Kimes and some of these other people may have good grades from college and all this other stuff, but they don't know what they're talking about as it relates to these cultural issues and these conversations on race, and they're there intentionally, and we're all being set up. I know that Twitter, and many of you in the chat, and many of my stalkers spend all of your time, oh, Whitlock is a coon, or Whitlock speaks for the white man, or Whitlock is always attacking black people. I'm not attacking black people. I'm trying to stop us from falling into the trap that's being laid for us. This intentional racial division being stirred by fake news is going to and is in the process of blowing up in our face. The more that guys like Kendrick Perkins, the more that Ryan Clark and others go on TV, constantly stirring the racial division, constantly playing the victim, constantly leaning into, if you're white, you're racist, and I can say whatever I want about you. I can generalize about white people any way that I want. It's a trap. Those guys are playing a game of checkers in a game of chess. And we're getting close to the end of this game. There are people that want to provoke racial conflict and racial division. They've been on social media stirring up black people and putting platforming and putting in primary focus. Oh, look what happened to George Floyd. Look what happened to Ahmaud Arbery. Look what happened to all these criminals that resisted arrest. Oh, the white man, the white police, the white America, it's horrible, it's horrible, it's horrible. And now that has slowed down, and what is becoming more and more prominent over social media is videos of, look at black people. Look at their criminal behavior towards white people and Asian people. These videos are getting pushed out at a more rapid pace or at the same pace as the occasional police brutality videos. The misbehavior of young black people is taking front and center over social media. And everybody can see it. And you can bury your head and pretend like it. But they're stirring an animus, the same animus that was being stirred in you with George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Rayshard Brooks and Eric Garner, is now being stirred in white people with the videos of young black kids violently engaging and interacting with white people. That's on a loop on social media. And as that starts to slow down, and because everybody can see, like, well, dang, what happened to the police videos? And now I'm seeing these videos. Now they're letting the mainstream news cycle just do its job. And we're starting to see, oh, Ja Morant, high-profile NBA player, in trouble with the law, with a gun, suspended from his team, seems to have gone off the reservation, used a gun to intimidate a 17-year-old kid. And then it's, oh, Joe Mixon, the Cincinnati Bengals running back, who was caught on tape as an 18, 19-year-old knocking out a young white girl with one single punch. Now he's caught up, as a Cincinnati Bengals running back, he's caught up in a shooting incident outside of his home, where there's speculation that he shot at and potentially injured a young boy who was playing with Nerf guns outside of his home. And now, last night, NBA legend, Seattle Supersonic great, Shawn Kemp, captured on tape, pulling out a gun in a mall parking lot and seemingly firing at someone, and he's been arrested in a drive-by shooting. Let's play this is on video of Shawn, looks like Shawn Kemp. He's been arrested for it. facing charge. There's a video, him at a mall, in the parking lot, daylight, firing a gun at someone. Play the tape. That's him in the
Oh my God.
off in the distance. He's been arrested. And so what we're about to see is the inevitable backlash and discussion about, hey, what's going on with black athletes? Why are they seeming to have all these problems with guns? Joe Mixon isn't living in the hood. And he's still having problems with guns. He's been given all the money that allegedly, oh, the money will fix it. If we just end poverty, Joe Mixon wouldn't knock out girls. He wouldn't be involved in criminal behavior. He's not in the hood anymore. But police were inside his home, long investigation. We don't know how that's going to turn out. Shawn Kemp has made a bunch of money in the NBA. He's retired now. He's out in the middle of the street in broad daylight at a mall shooting people. Ja Morant, $200 million contract, raised by good parents. He's got gun problems. If you think these dots can't be connected the same way that Black Lives Matter and all the PSYOPs and MK Ultras and Ray Epps impersonators, from Shaun King to all these other people, to Ray McKesson, who used isolated incidents with the police to create the narrative. Oh my God, the police are out of control. They're just randomly killing black people. And LeBron James sitting on Twitter, oh, you can't even go outside if you're black. We're getting hunted. This is all a PSYOP. This is all intentional. It's fake news. But if you think there's not an equal and opposite reaction to every action, if you think white people aren't going to sit there and say, hey, here's the tape, here's the video, here's the incidents, here's what's going on with black people. The same way you tried to do them, they're going to try to do you. That's human nature. That's what humans do. And we're headed for that. And they've been using these idiot athletes, idiot celebrities, to drive this narrative. And it's not by accident. It's not organic. These guys are all just chasing checks. Kendrick Perkins wants to be on TV, collecting money, wants to still be famous. And so he'll say anything. He doesn't know that he's being used. He's what they call a useful idiot. He's not alone. Stephen A. Smith, Molly Karam, half the people on Around the Horn. They're all useful idiots. The people over at Anscape, useful idiots. Out pretending like they're championing social justice and they're fighting white racism. They're being used to stir racial conflict. That anybody with a brain knows, based on numbers alone, just numbers, black people are going to lose that racial conflict. But they're being used to stir that racial conflict.